Hello and welcome to Bhagavad Gita study. Today we are going to look at three underlying themes that keep appearing in Bhagavad Gita throughout the chapters. At least these are the things that jumped out at me while I was doing my studies, and these three things seem to be the most important of all aspects of spiritual growth and spiritual practices. Before we go into the theme, let's look at the verses for today from this perpetual calendar. Sarvabhutastamatmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yogayuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the Supreme Lord, the same Supreme Lord everywhere. 6th chapter, 29th verse. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami shachame na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. These are beautiful verses. These have a connection to what we are going to discuss here. So while anyone does Bhagavad Gita study, things jump at you, things appear to you, things become clearer to you. These things are very personal. For someone that is not having any questions and just reading it as it is, may not have anything come up the first time. The second time when you read the same verse and the purport, something comes up and something speaks to you. So Lord does speak to his devotees. Lord does speak to anyone that reads Gita. Leave devotees alone. Through Gita, it is matter of fact that people have gotten so much out of Gita that there are so many commentaries and so many books written about it. Now, if we look at these three things, this is what has continuously appeared to me. Though I give only one verse here, there are several verses that go with it, go with these themes, and I feel that to walk the spiritual path, these three things are absolutely necessary. Number one thing that Gita prescribes, or at least I think that's the number one thing, which I put on the top, is surrender or samarpana. So what is surrender? Surrender is leaving everything to Lord, knowing and reminding oneself of the source of it all. So when I say I surrender to this or surrender to that, it does not mean I'm weak and I'm taking whatever is being imposed on me. Definitely what you need to do, you need to do. For example, you are in absolute physical pain and you are not well, you definitely have to go to the doctor and take care of the pain and take treatment for whatever is ailing you. However, if you keep resisting the pain and saying, why is this happening to me? Why am I the subject of so much of pain? I have been so good. This is going to only increase the pain. At that point, surrendering to the pain is the most wise thing to do, as well as surrendering that pain to the Lord. So whenever you're reminded of the source of any, just not pain or pleasure, to be from the Lord, according to what you have done as karma, quickly you will see that the things resolve, or however it resolves, it's of not so much effect on you. So if you surrender everything to Lord, your gains and your losses, your victories and your defeats, your pain and your pleasure, everyday activities, this can be done. This is not easy. So living a surrendered life is not easy. I have seen people live their life that way. In my own family, I have seen people live their life totally surrendered to the divine. Whatever they had to do in the world, they did, but still they always remembered the source. That's the way life is when your life is surrendered. If you take all yogis and read the life history of saints, you will see this kind of surrendered life. For Paramahamsa, it was like Ramkrishna Paramahamsa. I knew that in gospel there is one point where it is very clear that he did have his mother around, and he did take care of her. And then he also presents two bangles. He gives two bangles to the Holy Mother, because even though he led a life of sannyasi, is a married man, and he knew there was a duty towards his wife that he had to fulfill, that is to take care of her financial needs, at least the basic needs. So he provided, in spite of always being in samadhi, always thinking of Lord and immersed in Lord's love. He did take care of his wife in his own way, to the extent that that he is able to. That is absolutely beautiful. And then there is one video that I'm linking down from Children of Immortal Bliss, that Swami Sarvapriyananda speaks about surrender. It's not easy to live that way. We have been conditioned to believe that we do everything, and that everything is our own effort, and that is not true. Everything happens with Lord's will, and everything happens above and beyond our power. And that doesn't mean we have to be lazy, but whatever it is, we have to surrender whatever we do, the fruits of it, to the Lord. If we live that way, it is going to be easy to develop spirituality and grow further. Why is it necessary? Why would I surrender? Imagine if you're resisting something so much, and you're not surrendering it to Lord, not remembering that Lord has given you an experience or discomfort or even pleasure. And it's not happiness is when it goes, if something goes up, it has to come down. It's not going to be easy. In fact, when you're highly elated in looking at a thing, or you buy a new phone, or you feel very happy, you have to remember that this happiness also belongs to Lord. He has given me that. The moment you do that, you won't crash. And because worldly and material happiness is such, you go up and then you crash down, and it's not pleasant, it's not pretty at all. So why is it necessary for spiritual growth? Spiritual growth can only happen when your background, or you have a mental climate which is peaceful. If you have to have a peaceful mental climate within you, surrender is necessary. You have to begin only with surrender, otherwise you will not go anywhere. If you have cynicism, you are trying to argue within yourself, and you're resisting whatever is appearing, and you think that this is not supposed to be a certain way, it is supposed to be a certain way, it is not, shoulds and coulds, those most definitely create so much of noise within your mind that you are unable to progress any further. So definitely surrender is necessary for spiritual growth. What does surrender do? Lord himself promises that once you surrender, sarvadharman parityaja, I gave 1866 as an example, Mamekam Sharanam Braja, if you surrender to me, Aham Tvat Sarva Papebhyo, I'll free you from all sins, Moksha Ikshami Masujaha, complete liberation. And is this even possible? This seems like too much, right? This is possible. Take moksha to be something like freeing yourself from pleasure and pain in everyday life. Yogi lives that way. He is Nitya Mukta, that is to be ever free even while living. He doesn't have to die to go to that stage of moksha. He's already liberated. Nothing affects him, or both ways. He does not get elated, like he's not going to jump up and down out of happiness, or he's not going to roll down on the floor and cry if things go bad. So he's going to be in the center, which is where the bliss is, which is where Lord is, and Lord can be found only with complete surrender. And then is sahana, or forbearance or tolerance. I've taken 2:14 to be the example for this. Matra sparshastha kaunteya shitoshna sukadukadaha agamapaino anityaha tan titikshasva bharata. Here he is not even talking about spiritual growth. He is just saying, just like he goes visceral, right? First you take from the body and then you go from the mind, but you're so used to thinking that your body, that's Lord speaking. So we are all conditioned to think we are this body, so why not start there? All Gita is Upanishad, so everything, all deep concepts and lofty concepts are packed into that verse, where he says sense objects in contact sense objects contact senses, and they create these things. One is pleasure and one is pain and heat and cold. So you go visceral. First look at the body and how it reacts. See, it's almost like the concept from Drishya Viveka, where you start from outside. You're seeing what a nice flower looking at the nice flower, what it creates within you, and then you look at something very terrifying and what it creates in you. These are sense objects creating different kind of reactions within you. Both of them need to be tolerated for you to transcend them. So only when you are aware of pain and pleasure and move through the pain and pleasure with remembrance of Lord, that is when tolerance is achieved. So tolerating is not, again, not standing up for yourself and letting someone walk all over you. That is not tolerance. However, if something is causing discomfort or any particular feeling in you, you start to remember it is Lord alone that He's giving this experience for you to learn something from it, and Lord alone has come in this way. That way you're not going to resist it, you're not going to hate it, you're going to move through and navigate it very easily. So that's how I said, how does it help a practitioner? He is able to move through discomfort. If you tolerate things, you're able to move through discomfort and pain faster. This way you're not stagnant in your spiritual growth. Suppose you're sitting to meditate and mosquitoes are biting you. The first reaction is to be very irritated, and then you would, second thing and third thing, you will just give up, because you think, okay, you know what, I had such good intentions. In fact, many of us even blame the Lord for sending the mosquitoes. That's exactly why He sends the mosquitoes. We have to understand that with the pain and with the irritation, it's natural to be irritated, but you start noticing your irritation and move through it as Lord's own experience. Like Lord is giving you this experience of irritation, and so that you move through it faster and then create that peaceful background that I was mentioning about. In Viveka Chudamani, tolerance is one of the Shamadhamadis, Shad Sampatti. They talk about 6-fold qualifications for spiritual practice, to be successful in spiritual practice and to be someone that is eligible for moksha. One of them is Titiksha, which is tolerance. Tolerance cannot be underrated. It is extremely valuable in walking spiritual path. And then is samatva. Even today, when we saw today's verses, he says, somebody who sees everything in me and me in everything, I'm not lost to him. How would you ever achieve samatva? It's extremely difficult to achieve. Let me tell you, many parents say, oh, they both kids are equal to me. Somewhere in corner of a parent's mind, there is one favorite kid. This kid is better than, at least if not a favorite kid. In different situations they end up comparing, the elder one is this way and the younger one is this way. So equanimity is a joke. It is not to be achieved, because we are all running our life with the help of mind's very much, its job description is to create comparisons and start to divide your experiences into good and bad. How would you ever achieve equanimity? You go to surrender. This is where everything starts. Equanimity is the highest ideal of an enlightened being. I said I have written 238, which is sukha dukhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo tatho yudhyayujyasva naivam papam avapsasi. If you operate from the center, not thinking about good or bad or sukha or dukkha, happiness or sadness, then you're going to be successful. Why? Because you're acting from the place where Lord resides, which is in the center. You treat everything equally. So many people say that, oh, he's doing war, how can that be equal? His duty is to do war. A military person has to fight for his country. So when he is doing that, instead of thinking good and bad, all that he can do is to remain in the center and not think about its results and surrendering it to Lord. Again, it comes back to surrender. That's where his, even though there will be sins incurred from killing, they are all going to work their way out because there is surrender here. And that is the way Lord has designed this whole thing. So samatva is such a good theme that keeps on appearing in 5th chapter, 6th chapter, everywhere. Once you achieve the equanimity, there's nothing else to do. A yogi looks at you and like you, in the sense us and sinners, the same way. Somebody who walks the path of devotion is the same as somebody who's drinking and making merry. For yogi, there is no difference. For an enlightened being, there is absolutely no difference between a saint and a sinner, because they've already achieved that through complete surrender to the Lord. So when you take these concepts and relate them to the verses, it's absolutely amazing how Lord has put forward these things. And even though they seem like, oh my goodness, I don't think I'll ever be this, do not be discouraged, because he again says, Neha Vikramana Pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya. Even if you do a little bit of this, you will be saved from the highest fears, that is the fear of death, which is he will bring your soul to the shore. You don't have to drown. Slowly and slowly you build these things up. The only way to build these things up is to have a consistent spiritual practice, something like a japa or reading the scriptures. And Gita itself can be a spiritual practice. If you have no time for anything else, read one verse like we just did today, just one, and its meaning. Just go about your day. That is going to definitely create a difference. Hope you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to subscriber Sunil Jadhav. Thank you so much for giving me the ideas. I am definitely going to do a verse a week. And also you gave me some ideas about beginners and how they have their struggles and how to consistently practice reading the Gita. I'm definitely having some ideas around it. I myself have undergone so much of struggles while I started the practice, and even now, after so many years, I'm still considering myself a beginner, because life happens, things happen. You may not be where you actually want it to be. So how to take things in a smaller way and progress is definitely going to be talked about in this channel. Thank you so much for ideas. Please post more ideas for me. Hope you like this video, and I will soon meet you with some more. Thank you so much, and bye bye.